Two neighbors. Same street. Same city. Same year they were both born. One of them retired at 54. The other is still working at 71, not because he wants to, but because stopping is not an option anymore. They grew up in similar households. They both got jobs in their 20s. They both had kids, mortgages, car payments, grocery bills. From the outside, their lives looked nearly identical for the first 20 years. So what separated them? It was not inheritance. It was not a lucky stock pick. It was not even income. The man still working at 71 actually earned more money over the course of his career than the man who retired at 54. He earned more. He retired with less. And if that does not make you stop and think, nothing in this video will. Here is the uncomfortable setup. Most people in developed countries are not broke because of bad luck. They are broke because of a very specific, very consistent set of decisions they make every single month. Decisions that feel completely normal, even responsible, in the moment. The average American household carries over $100,000 in total debt. The average retirement savings for someone between 55 and 64, the decade just before most people expect to stop working, sits at around $134,000. That sounds reasonable until you run the math. At a 4% safe withdrawal rate, that funds roughly $5,300 per year in retirement income. That is $441 a month. Not a setback. Not a tragedy. A mathematical outcome of normal financial behavior practiced consistently over decades. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. The question is who it is designed to work for. Let us talk about the first invisible wall. Most people think wealth is built by earning more. More salary, bigger bonus, second job, side hustle. And while income matters, it is not the engine. It is the fuel. And fuel without an engine just sits there, evaporating. The engine is the gap between what you earn and what you keep. In 1970, the average American personal savings rate was around 17%. In 2005, just before a financial crisis that nearly collapsed the global economy, it had dropped to around 2.5%. As of recent years, it hovers somewhere between 4 and 6% on average, with millions of households at zero or negative. Read that again. Millions of households spending more than they earn. Every single month. This is not a poverty story. This is a middle-class story. People with respectable salaries, good jobs, reasonable lives, somehow ending every month with less than they started with. And the mechanism behind it is not weakness or stupidity. It is architecture. The financial world is built around a very simple principle. Your present moment comfort is more profitable than your future financial security. Every company that extends you credit, every dealership that offers you zero-down financing, every retailer that runs a sale with a countdown timer, they are not offering you convenience. They are converting your future income into their present revenue. Right now. Before you have even earned it. The average new car payment in the United States crossed $700 a month in 2023. The average lease on a vehicle that will be worth nothing in 3 years. People spending more on a depreciating machine per month than most people in the world earn in total. And here is the part that makes financial advisors quietly lose sleep. It is not just the payment. It is the opportunity cost of the payment. That same $700 a month, invested consistently over 25 years at a modest 8% annual return, does not become $210,000. It becomes over $630,000. The car did not cost $700 a month. It cost a potential retirement. Now let us talk about what the people quietly building wealth are actually doing differently. Not differently in a dramatic sense. Not Bitcoin at the right moment or a family contact at Goldman Sachs. Differently in a structural sense. Differently in a boring, repetitive, almost invisible sense. They are running a personal balance sheet. Most people manage their financial life through a single lens. Monthly cash flow. Can I cover this month? Yes. Can I cover next month? Probably. Good enough. The lens never widens. People building wealth use a second lens simultaneously. Not just, can I cover this month, but, is my net worth growing? Net worth is the total of everything you own minus everything you owe. Assets minus liabilities. And it is the only number that tells the real story of where you are financially. Someone earning $80,000 a year with $12,000 in savings, a paid-off car, and a small stock portfolio is wealthier than someone earning $150,000 a year carrying $200,000 in consumer debt, a leased vehicle, and a savings account that never holds more than one paycheck. Income is a headline. Net worth is the truth. Here is where the mechanism gets genuinely interesting. Once you have a positive net worth, once your assets outweigh your liabilities, something changes. Your money starts generating signal. Small amounts of passive income appear. Interest, dividends, appreciation. None of it dramatic at first. None of it life-changing in year one. But the architecture has shifted. You are no longer just a worker. You are also, in a very small way, a capital owner. And capital ownership compounds. It does not grow linearly, $1 at a time. It grows exponentially because returns generate returns, which generate returns across time. The longer the runway, the more violent the upward curve becomes. This is why the gap between the very wealthy and everyone else does not just persist. It accelerates. Not because wealthy people are working harder or thinking more clearly, but because their capital is compounding while other people's debt is compounding in the opposite direction. Two compound curves. Running simultaneously, moving in opposite directions. One group's money growing on top of itself, the other group's debt growing on top of itself. And every year, the distance between them increases. Now let us confront the part of this conversation that usually gets softened or skipped entirely. Building wealth in a system designed to extract it from you requires a specific kind of friction tolerance. It requires being willing to live below what your income could afford. Consistently, for years, in a culture that reads that choice as failure, because the culture has a story it tells about success, and that story is visible. The car, the watch, the apartment in the right neighborhood, the vacation that gets photographed. Every visible marker of success in modern consumer culture is a spending event, a liability creation, a wealth-building interruption dressed up as an achievement. The people building real wealth are, in many cases, visually indistinguishable from the people going broke slowly. They drive modest cars. They do not renovate their kitchens every few years. They do not wear the signals. And because they do not wear the signals, they are frequently underestimated, sometimes pitted. A study by Thomas Stanley, author of The Millionaire Next Door, found that the majority of American millionaires do not live in upscale neighborhoods, do not drive luxury cars, and are not recognized by their neighbors as wealthy. They are the quiet ones, the boring ones, the ones nobody is envying at the dinner party. The irony deepens. The people most loudly performing wealth, the leased Range Rover, the designer wardrobe, the business class Instagram story, are, statistically, far more likely to be cash poor than the man in a 10-year-old Toyota who left the party early because he had a morning meeting with his financial advisor. This is not a moral argument about materialism. It is a mechanical observation about how visible consumption and actual wealth accumulation tend to run in opposite directions. You cannot optimize for looking wealthy and building wealth at the same time. The resources are the same pool. Spend them on the appearance, and you have spent them. Redirect them into assets, and you have kept them in a different form. Here is the bigger picture that most financial content refuses to sit with for very long. The median wealth of a Black American family is roughly 10 times lower than the median wealth of a white American family. That gap did not appear because of different spending habits. It appeared because of a century of deliberate, policy-enforced asset exclusion. Redlining. Exclusion from GI Bill benefits. Theft and destruction of established Black wealth communities. Generational asset building interrupted, deliberately, at multiple points across history. Which means that the just save more and invest consistently framework, while mechanically correct, is not a neutral piece of advice. It lands differently depending on what kind of foundation you inherited. Some people are building a house. Others are being asked to build the same house while someone keeps quietly removing bricks from the foundation when they are not watching. That is not an argument to stop building. It is an argument to understand the actual terrain you are operating in. So what does the actual path look like, stripped of mythology? It starts with measurement. Not budgeting in the traditional sense of tracking every coffee. Measuring the real number, net worth. Checking it quarterly. Watching whether it is moving in the right direction. Making that number the target, not the monthly cash flow. It continues with a structural decision about the savings rate. Not what feels comfortable. What is mathematically necessary. For most people, the number that changes long-term outcomes sits between 20 and 30% of take-home income, consistently redirected into appreciating assets, not consumption. It requires understanding the difference between something that looks like an asset and something that actually is one. A house you live in is not straightforwardly an asset. A business you own that generates income while you sleep is. A stock portfolio reinvesting its dividends is. These are not the same category as a car and a kitchen renovation. And it requires time. Not the be patient version of time that gets dispensed as cheap wisdom. The mathematical version. The version where the compounding machine needs a minimum runway to produce meaningful outcomes, and starting 10 years later is not a minor inconvenience. It is a structurally different result. Here is where this ends, and it does not end cleanly. The formula for building wealth while others stay broke is not complicated. It is not hidden. It has been documented, studied, and published thousands of times. It is available to anyone with an internet connection and an afternoon. And yet the outcomes remain radically unequal. The retirement crisis is real. The savings gap is real. The debt load is real. People who know better are still going broke slowly, every month, in slow motion, with a perfectly clear view of the machine doing it to them. So the question this video leaves you with is not, do you know what to do now? The question is, knowing and doing are two completely different problems. And the honest, uncomfortable follow-up is this. If information were enough, this problem would have been solved decades ago. What part of the equation is still missing?